Anyway, how to fix a hydrolocked engine? Well, blah. Sorry. Well, anyway, it was Dark Car 2015, and my friend asked me how to fix a hydrolocked engine. A hydrolocked engine is a bad scenario. How to drain it is simple. Just plug the freaking thing out and use some old oil, plug it back in, start the car, boom. Now let's say what happens if the connecting rod does break. Okay, here's the small, you see the bottom part of my video, YouTubers? The top part is my spark plug, where I go vroom, 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 vroom. Of course, if I try to record it at high speed, it'll blur out, and you're like, what the heck is going on? So, okay, this arm right here, where my tendon is the connecting rod. Just like a connecting rod, just like an arm. If your arm breaks, it's not usable, but it can reform itself. It can rebuild. Now, if the connecting rod does break, then that could cost like $1,000 on repairs just for a single cylinder. Now, we have this other request made by someone on Facebook, and she asked, my engine's not starting right. It it keeps on stalling every time when I start it. What's that causing? Well, that could cause multiple problems. But the number one thing you should check is for the battery. See if the battery is okay. Sometimes the battery distributor not cranking the car. Now, she also says that she has been smelling gasoline near the engine, and she thought her engine was flooded. Well, she took that off, and she figured out that her engine was flooded. Then she asked me, how do you take care of a flooded engine? And there are two ways. There's the easy way and there's the hard way. The easy way is just simple. You just take like a small water or vacuum hose or gasoline hose, hook it up to the fuel injector rail, and try to crank the car so the fuel injector can go into the thing. Now here's the second part, which is real hard. Just keep on cranking until it all runs out of the engine. Now, luckily, gasoline is compressible, so it could not do any hydrolock. Hydro means water. Lock means you can't move it at all. It's locked. Now we have this one. Now we have 5 questions. That was 2 of them. Now this guy's been saying on some other website I made that he says, I have a manual transmission car. I want to know what happens if you start from a low gear, like you start from 0 miles per hour on 6th gear. Well, if you try to accelerate, your engine is kind of struggling to keep, because the transmission runs 5 times as faster than the engine. The engine might be if you rev a car at 7,500 RPMs, the transmission could be revving over to 11,000 RPMs. So when your transmission is trying to overrun your engine, all the transmission doing is just revving the engine more, just putting on stress on the engine. Now, you shouldn't try that, because it can mess up the timing belt, it can mess up the pressure plate in the transmission, it can mess up the gear plate, and mess up the gears, and possibly damage your engine from overheating. Now, if you try to start from 6th gear, your the transmission will start getting hot. And to prevent a fire in modern cars, they have this fire protection system to keep everything from catching fire. So if you start from 6th gear, your engine will stall because your transmission's overheating. Now that's the third question. The fourth question is when is it time to put new oil into your car? Well, many people suggest 3,000 to 5,000 miles. It's just simple. Just take off the oil plug, take off the oil filter, place the oil filter back on, oil plug, pour some oil in, boom, start the engine. Now, that's just pretty simple. That was an easy question. Fourth question comes from, what's that name? Comes from someone else. Anonymous. Someone else. He asks, what happens if you blow a fuel pump fuse with the spark plug fuse? Or what happens if you switch places? Well, each fuse does its job. For example, fuel pump fuse is a fuse for the fuel pump for your fuel to pump, for your pump to be able to pump fuel through. Now, if you switch that around, then yeah, that could be bad. Because you can overload the circuits and actually burn them out. Now, this is the last and final question, and it's been boggling on my mind, but I thought I saw some ghost probably. I don't know. Well, anyway, the last question goes to. Well, this last question has been boggling on our minds since 19th century. Well, this guy says, what happens if you over rev your car and it overheats and you try to restart it up again and then you over rev it again and again, and if you over rev it while it's just got done overheating, what will happen? Well, multiple things can happen. Once an overheated engine is overheated, leave it alone. Do not try to attempt to start it, because when oil gets mixed with gasoline in high heat, it becomes a sticky grudge. Just like how hot chocolate is. It becomes a sticky grudge, and it'll stick to the inside of the piston. And if you try to start it, the oil stress will be on the engine, and the oil will be rubbing all over the place, creating pressure on the piston and or the engine. Now, he also asked this part of the question. If you overheat an engine, does that mean it's permanently locked up, or... Well, an overheated engine is where one or more parts of the engine didn't get enough coolant. Like, for example, you plug in a device and it says for example, P1031, 1031, yeah. It says, now, if you do try to start a car and over rev it after it just got done overheating, then that oil sludge will only get hotter and hotter and hotter and more sticky until the piston bursts into flames. Well, that's it, YouTube. Subscribe to Dark Killer Car 2015 for more info. Well, bye. But wait, I got some stuff to show you. So here's a story about my mom. My mom was born on December 6th, 1972. She was a good mom. Then she met my dad at the age of 23, I think. Oh, that's creepy. At the age of 23. That's them right there. But then something happened and we had 3 kids. This is my big sister Arlia, which she's currently 18. This is me, Dr. Lucario 2015, currently at age 15, and 3/4 old. And this is my little sister. She's currently 10. Now, here's the story. It all began on. Now, it all happened on summer of 2013. Around June or July, she started to act weird. On July 4th, she went swimming with us for 4th of July. She was perfectly fine. Then the next day, she felt ill. Really ill. And then things started to get worse. After we got home from school, my mom's face was pale while her legs were purple. Yes, I'm literally crying right now because it's a sad story. Well, anyway, my mom, she was severely sick, and they misdiagnosed her with urinary tract infection. Lake Wells Medical Hospital, and yes, I've been there. Well, anyway, yeah. Well, anyway, after they discharged her, she felt ill again. Then she had to go to the hospital. And then around July 25th, July 26th, she went into a coma. Because she was on life support. And yeah, it's real sad. Well, anyway, about a couple months later, around August, on August, they called my dad up at 1 in the morning, 2, 3 in the a.m. in the morning, and asked him that, and told him, not asked, but told him that she only had 1% chance of making it. So, yeah. Well, anyway, when we went there next day, she was okay. She was awake and smiling and stuff like that. Hang on, you scratch my head, YouTubers. Stuff like that. Well, anyway, then the bad news came. On August 17th, 2013, she died from colon cancer at the age of 40. She was a really good mom. I never got to see her. She never get to saw me graduate high school or celebrate my 16th birthday. Real sad. Well, bye, YouTubers. I'll do a next video tomorrow over my life. Remember to subscribe to Dr. Lucario 2015 for more info. Bye, homies.